Ryan with Miss.Geek here, and I'm here with my almost done recumbent trike. One I've been calling the Meridian, although Giant Beast, Behemoth, Leviathan, a few other names have crossed my mind. This thing is wide, it's long. I think it has more in common with a Peterbilt than it does a bicycle, but anyway. Today it's being disassembled for final paint. Well, for paint. It doesn't have any paint currently. And so I'm going to get started on the disassembly. I'm not going to be able to video that, but once I get it down to the frame, I'll show you what I've got for paint. Alright, so I've got the bike on its side now. I've removed the brakes. Let's see, I've got the well, on the right side, which I'm gonna start calling the starboard side because this thing is a boat. On the starboard side, the brake cable was frayed just a little bit because I had, in a hurry, not put a little ferrule on the end of it. So I unfrayed it and got that little ferrule on there so that it's good. And the cables were just held on with, or the brake cable, because there was only the one. I hadn't set up the port side brake yet. And by the way, port is left. Easy way to remember that. Left is 4 letters, port is left 4 letters. Anyhow, and also on ships and airplanes, the red light is always port, and you can remember the port wine is red, and therefore the light on the port side of a craft is also red. Anyway, so on the starboard side, the brake there, removed that, and then removed the brake, although it was not cabled up yet from the port side. And then up here on the bow, got to remove the drag link for the steering linkage, and remove the rudder, and then the rotating rudder, I'm going to start calling it. And then one of the things I noticed as I was disassembling the seat is this little wedge that I stuck in there, just some angle iron, that was solely designed to angle the seat up higher. And I'm probably not even going to weld that in or weld up a space or anything. I'm probably just going to leave it like that so that when I put this thing back together, I'll just do the same thing, because I haven't put very many miles on it. Well, I doubt I put an entire mile on this yet. I've just done some around the block type testing, and so I may need to modify that yet. But I need to get paint on it because it's a nice warm day, and I've been waiting for a nice warm day, and today I have a nice warm day and the time to do it. So I'm gonna rip this thing apart, probably just paint right over a little bit of the rust that's accumulated over the past year, because I did start on this a year ago, and in fact I built the bulk of it between July and September of last year, 2019, and so haven't really had time this year to touch it, but here we are. So we'll see where we come next. Alright, so I'm collecting all the parts in this bin, and you can see I've got the jack shaft removed, and you can also see the entire rear derailleur and chain removed, and that's because I didn't have to break the chain. That's the beauty of this split drivetrain, and everything's removable is I don't have to break the chain. But what I do need to do is measure. So the leading edge of the bracket that holds the bottom bracket is at a little over 6.5 inches from the front of the main tube. So I'm going to make sure to set that back to that when I put this back together. So it's coming along pretty quickly. Now I've just got to remove the bottom bracket, and then I already took off the port wheel, got to take off the starboard wheel. If you're going to use fat tires on your build, if you choose to embark on something as crazy as this, do something I didn't do, and that is follow one of AtomicZombie.com's plans to the T. I kind of hacked together my own deal, and this is all my own design back here. I mean, everything from here forward is all Brad from Atomic Zombie. He designed all this. This is the front of a Meridian, all the way down to the angle on the seat. Behind it, though, the tricycle part is my own, and I really enjoy embarking and doing my own things, But after having done it my way and then looking at Brad's plans, I got some of his plans for the I think it was the Delta Runner, one of the cargo bikes, one of the cargo Delta cargo trikes that he supplies plans for. And I thought, I can see why he did it this way, because he eliminates the need for a jack shaft, which was a lot more work than I thought it would be. He also gets disc brakes instead of rim brakes, and disc brakes are awesome, especially when you use fat tires, because I have to wiggle out the fat tire from between these two brake studs. And I am really concerned that I'm going to tear out the sidewall. It's either that or air it down every time I remove it, which might not be practical. Anyway, so kind of reviewing this as I go along, looking at ways to do it better next time, and I fully expect there to be a next time. Although, I think the next one will be a bicycle rather than a trike. We'll see. But this is my machine for getting back in shape, getting back in bicycle riding condition. So we'll see how it goes. Gonna continue the teardown. Alright, so we're almost down to bare frame. Got the rear end on jack stands to keep it off the grass while I work on the front. Just keep it level more than anything. And then got to remove the front fork, which will be done in about 30 seconds. And then the other front fork, the steering tube, which will be in about another 30 seconds, I think. Just got to find the right tools to remove them, and easy peasy. But the more I look at this, the more I remember some of the hacks that I had done to make this work. There was something else that I came to mind after shooting that last part about the wheels. Not only do Brad's designs over Atomic Zombie, not only do they make it simpler, they make it stronger. Because if you look at these wheels, I got these at a scrapyard for very little money, but they're free wheel hubs, not free hubs, but they're free wheel, and they're in other words, on the actual geared unit, the bearing is behind the gears instead of in front of the gears. So the bearing is right here. There it is. The bearing is right here instead of right here. On a free hub, which is the modern style, the non super cheap way of doing it, the bearing is way out here. The difference is that there's no leverage on the bearing versus on this design. All the leverage is right here, and you got this much leverage from this, and the result is that that unless it's really good heat treated, hardened axle shaft, that axle shaft can bend fairly easily, and that one is bent just very, very slightly, not enough to really notice too much. I'm not worried about it. But on Brad's designs, the actual hub is made from scratch, and the bearings are like 3/4 inch or some ridiculously huge thing that is impossible to bend with human strength alone, and that's why his are rated to carry hundreds of pounds, and this one will be rated to carry me, and that's about it. So if I had to do it again, I would do it his way. But the thing is, I do have it to do again. I can start over anytime I want, but I am going to get this thing riding, and I'm going to enjoy it, and then I'm probably going to end up rebuilding it, or at least build another one of the better way, rather than tearing up this one apart. Alright, so the trike is completely torn down. There's nothing else that can be taken off. All the moving parts have been removed, and reviewing this after I've done all the major work to it, looking at it again with fresh eyes, because it's been quite a while since I've worked on it. There's a couple things. One, some of my welds are really ugly, but they'll hold. Two, is there is some rust in a few spots, maybe a little bit more than I would like, but I might hit it with a grinding wheel or with a wire wheel brush before I paint. The other thing is I realize it's going to need a good cleaning right before I paint, because there's lots of, my hands have been on it, and my hands are greasy because the parts are greasy. So I'm going to give it a good wash with some, probably just some basic detergents like ammonia, or Pine Sol rather, just diluted Pine Sol, and then dry it real good and let it sit, and then get it so it's completely dry, and then start painting. Now, this is going to get painted with the paint I'm going to show you, but this piece here is not. So let me get out my paints and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so here's the paints I've got. The first thing I've got is this can of primer. Just some Rust-Oleum. It's all Rust-Oleum, except for the clear. But I want to get a decent cover, decent paint on it, because it does rain quite a bit here, and I want to be able to get it wet without worrying about it rusting through. And so for that reason, I've tried to get some paints that will be durable. So the first thing is paint and primer, and it's just flat white. That's going to go on first. So I know if I see white that I need to touch it up or whatever. This next Rust-Oleum is this burnt orange. I don't know what color it says it is, but it's this rustic orange, it says. So I got 2 cans of that. I think the first can is going to tell me how well 1 can will cover the entire bike, but I tend to use all of that paint, and make sure it gets a good coating. And I got some Krylon gloss, clear coat. And then there's this stuff. It's called Steel It, and it says anti-rust stainless steel in a can, and that's what I'm going to use on this. I've never used it before, but one of the guys I follow on Instagram, it's just some off-roading stuff, and he's used it on some projects to paint some cross members on some 4x4s and some pretty tricky fabrication work that he's done. And if he trusts his time to be protected, all the effort that he puts into this fabrication by some of this stuff, I thought I'd give it a try. He had collaborated with a company, and you could actually get a sample. So this is their free sample can that I had sent to me earlier this year. So I figure the stem and handlebars are a good place to test that out. Anyway, so there it is. Pretty well done for the night. Just needed to get it torn down. As I actually get down to cleaning it, masking it, and everything, I'll take a similar video and post it. Thanks for watching.